Hot leather pants. Hot leather pants. Hot leather pants.
Hello everybody and welcome to WCCF Tech podcasty thing. And it's another E3 one. We're just is it midway through E3 now? Are we on day 3 now or 4 or
Sure sounds like it.
It's
Yeah.
almost done. Just Nintendo's big conference today.
Right. So the next one we do will be at the end of the week where we can just round everything up. Here we're just talking. It's the near end of E3 podcast. But yeah, so we've got Kai. And
I missed you guys yesterday.
Alessio.
Oh,
There was no yesterday, Kai. There never was a yesterday. And
Oh.
we also have Twining's Tea.
And Ninja Coffee.
Oh, tea. Tea. Oh, good sir, it's tea. Then again, you Americans seem to think, like Boston Tea Harbour thing, you throw tea in the water. You don't throw tea in the water.
How else do you make
Peasants.
tea? I mean, what's your ideal tea to sugar ratio, Chris?
Well, so for a big flask like this, I just put like 1 teaspoon of sugar in. And that's...
Using the imperial measurements, I see.
Well, that's what you put sugar... It's called a teaspoon! What else would you put it in? Oh my god.
A
You
sipping spoon?
Americans.
I don't know.
You Americans. So anyway, since we know that Kai knows nothing about tea, let's talk about E3. What do you know about E3, Kai?
I know that if we were on a normal schedule, we would have already seen Sony, who's certainly not there, EA, who's also not there. Yesterday was pretty much 2 big contenders. I mean, unless you're counting all that extra stuff for Halo Infinite, it was pretty much Capcom and limited run games were the ones showing off big announcements. Big being a relative thing.
Wasn't Microsoft and Ubisoft yesterday? Or they're the day before?
oh, they were the day before, but since yesterday we missed the daily podcast, so we have to talk about them as well, of course.
Yeah, well, I do, yeah. But, so, yeah, they were, I saw merged into one for me. I have no idea which day is which, and honestly, E3's not that special to me. Nothing compared to Gamescom.
Yeah, if this was a typical E3, today would be the start of the show. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday affair with all the big contenders doing their presentations. This year is a very strange beast, to say the least.
So, I didn't watch Capcom, so we'll go in backwards order. So, tell us about Capcom, one of you two. Alessio or Akai? Which one are you?
There really isn't much to say. I mean, they are doing DLC for Resident Evil Village, and they are, also working on Monster Hunter Stories 2.
Yep.
Which is releasing next month, and they are doing new content for Monster Hunter Rise, of course, since it's been a massive success. And
yeah, you can get yourself some hot leather pants and sunglasses for your character in Monster Hunter Rise.
And there is also the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, for those who care, coming. But there was no Dragon's Dogma 2, and for that, Capcom shall know my wrath.
Yeah, and they ended the show with Street Fighter V, but only talking about their esports circuits. There wasn't a character reveal. There was no much of anything if you were interested in new content per se. But if you're big on the tournament scene, the stuff that Capcom's putting out there for the grassroots movements is at least exciting for that community.
Fair enough. So,
it was
in other words, Capcom are a bit rubbish.
kind of a disappointment.
Yep, no Dragon's Dogma 2, so Alessio doesn't care.
I'm surprised they haven't announced like a new Street Fighter or something along those lines.
Yeah,
Surely it's
I
due.
mean,
Wasn't the last one
Oh, it
like
certainly
3
is.
years ago?
About that, yeah. And we had Yoshinori Ono left the company, so we're not even sure who would be directing Street Fighter 6. But that kind of information is probably going to come. Maybe they'll reveal it at the end of this year's Capcom Pro Tour as a send off to Street Fighter 5. Who knows?
Yeah. And what else was there yesterday then, Kai? You mentioned some limited run games?
Yeah, the boutique publisher of Forever Physical, who I am certainly not paid by them.
I've
But
bought a few
they are
limited run games before, though, to be fair.
yeah, I mean, I've got a few over there behind me. Um, a lot of their stuff is actually pretty exciting for people that have been trying to get their hands on some of these older titles. Um, not only are they publishing stuff, but they're also helping localize some titles. So, like Way Forward is bringing back one of the River City Ransom titles that never got localized. They're also localizing the original PC Engine or Turbo Duo version of Castlevania Rondo of Blood. So actually getting a physical cart of that in English is really exciting because a secondhand copy of that game is like $200 alone.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see limited run games get, maybe some treasure licenses, and maybe they can re-release Radiant Silvergun for the Saturn one of these days. Who knows? For some reason, they also got the licensing rights to Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, which is an absolutely atrocious full motion video game, but apparently it's some sort of cult classic. So there's someone out there that's looking forward to it, and it's probably Josh at Limited Run Games.
Fair enough. That's so. Wasn't a big day then for us in that respect.
Yeah, one of the most quiet E3 days. Razer also did their own little showcase, and the two big takeaways there. They've got a 27-inch monitor that's 165 hertz, HDR 400, G-Sync compatible. Still HDMI 2.0B though. I was hoping that for the price, I think it's like $800 for this monitor, they'd start bringing HDMI 2.1 in there so console players like myself can get excited for it, but so far not a lot of players in that space either.
Fair enough. Have you got anything from yesterday then, Alessio?
No, I honestly barely paid attention to E3 at least, but there were other interesting news actually.
Yeah.
For example, yesterday we also got a report from Video Games Chronicle, although Jeff Grubb already kind of hinted at that, about Rare Sever Wild being rebooted and now targeting 2024. So it's quite a ways out. Also, well, of course, there were quite a few interviews, especially on Elden Ring and also on Starfield. So I guess it's time to move on to talk about Microsoft's conference, I'd say.
So, yeah, well, there'll be a lot to talk about that. Before we do that, I'm going to challenge for both of you. If just pick 3 games and say, like, which out of any of the games, which 3 or any one of the 3 or however, do you think I'm most excited about?
You personally?
Yes, me personally.
I'm gonna wager a guess Plague Tale Requiem being one of them. If you had an Xbox Series X, I would say Flight Simulator, especially with them doing a Top Gun crossover, and
Yeah,
I know
but
how much you
why would
love that.
Why would I want it on the X when I've got it on the PC?
Yeah, I know. And then my third one. I mean, if you're big into RPGs like I am, I would say Eiyuden Chronicle, which is the Suikoden successor, but I'm gonna have to go with Stalker 2 as my third title.
So you got 2 right. Plague Tale and Eiyuden Chronicles. In fact, I'm so looking forward to Eiyuden because Suikoden was Suikoden was a massive love of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so looking forward to that. The game you missed out on, well, Stalker 2. Yeah, you're right. In fact, no, you picked 3 of the 4. I should have said 4 games. Forza Horizon.
Oh yeah, Horizon 5
So,
is.
yeah, I mean, I love Flight Simulator, but the Top Gun crossover, it's interesting, but it's not. I don't think it's not going to suddenly become a combat flight simulator.
Yeah, we've got Ace Combat for that kind of fix,
Yeah.
anyways.
Though I do want to start singing Highway to the Danger Zone.
Get some Kenny Loggins.
Danger
Yeah.
Zone. But yeah, anyway, Microsoft. I'll talk a bit. It was a big event, a lot of big games. I don't think it's enough to threaten Sony. Not quite, but they've got their acquisitions are going to start taking effect, and you can see it. Plague Tale, like you said, the first game was fantastic, and Asobo are one of those studios where, yeah. I think they've announced. Outer Worlds 2 a bit too soon. I just don't think it's had time to. But then, to be fair, there's a lot of games that interest me as a PC player, and like Stalker, yes. Age of Empires, oh yes. Plague Tale, yes. Psychonauts, oh god, yes. Again, that's not really a Microsoft studio. Then Double Fine out. Yeah, they're not Microsoft, are they?
Yeah.
No, I think they're still their own things because they always do like the Fig crowdfunding. So I think they're relatively, I don't want to say indie, but definitely their own thing.
Oh no, I've just searched it. Yeah, they are now.
They have been acquired by Microsoft.
Oh yeah.
In case you didn't notice.
All right then.
Fair enough. That makes sense.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so that shows you how little that Double Fine really are on the map. Yeah. No, Ayuden Chronicles, hell yes. Though, is there a reason why that's only being shown at the Microsoft? Well, is it just simply that Sony aren't there? Is it going to be on the PlayStation?
Yeah, part of their Kickstarter definitely mentioned PlayStation Chronicles and Steam, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
But the announcement that they're bringing a second Ayuden Chronicles game to Xbox in general, that it's being developed, was a new announcement.
Yeah.
That they're doing a action RPG prequel called Ayuden Chronicle Rising.
Yes. Smaller prequel sort of set up for the big event. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Go on.
You know, beyond the specific games, if you look at the Game Pass lineup, it's just incredible. I mean, really, honestly impressive. Because,
yeah.
I mean, they also have many third-party games. For example, Back 4 Blood will be on Game Pass on day one.
Oh yeah, Left 4 Dead 10. I forgot about that one.
Dark Alliance out in like a week. That's on Game Pass.
Dark Alliance.
Yeah, Aragami 2, also Hades as soon as it launches on Xbox, and also Sable. 12 minutes also looks really interesting. And then, of course, Age of Empires, Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite. So it's just incredible if you look at the value. I mean, now also Yakuza 7. So all of the Yakuza games are on Game Pass. And of course, if you look ahead, it's even more impressive because you have in the next few years Starfield, Redfall, Stalker 2, Atomic Heart, The Outer Worlds 2, Contraband. So it's just I think it's going to be hard. That's of course on purpose from Microsoft. They want to make it hard not to be subscribed to Game Pass, just like Netflix does. I mean, well, they try at least, and to put out an incredible amount of original content. So,
and I think that's the way Microsoft are going to do it. As I said, it's a difficult one. The more studios they bought, the more chance they have of really getting that really high class game. They've got some already. You've got your Forza Horizons, Playground Games make fantastic racing games. Well, arcadey racing games. The main Forza series, I'm not interested. I like racing games, but they're just no. You're okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can only do like the arcade style ones. So
I
give
like
me a new Need for Speed any day of the week.
no. To be fair, I will play a lot of the simulation games, but when you've got competitors around who do it 10, 20 times better, if you want a racing simulation game that can also be arcade if you want it, just go to Codemasters. You don't really need to go anywhere else. They are the masters. It's in the name. Sadly, they've been bought by EA. So Playground, they've got Forza Horizon. That's probably of any series owned by Microsoft, that's probably the pinnacle they've got. Halo, I've already spoken at length about that. I think it's overrated. Gameplay wise, it's strong, but for the whole narrative experience, or if you want to go in and just shoot shit, then fair enough. That's a decent enough game for you. But when it came out, and especially when everybody was going absolute apeshit over Halo 3, and they're making out like it's the new coming of the Bible, I just thought, no, the story is absolute shit, and it is. It's to this day, the story of Halo as this game series is shit. And nobody will ever convince me different, because everybody who tries to convince me says you need to read these 12,000 books and watch the anime and watch the upcoming series and watch the film and then sniff Cortana's knickers. And it just irritates me.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm trying to say is Microsoft are growing and they're going in the right direction, but they're not going to challenge Sony yet. Not when it comes to the pure first-party titles.
Yeah, and pretty much the ball is going to be in Sony's court to show off something here in a few weeks when they do their own little event. I mean, you have the obvious heavy hitters like God of War Ragnarok, Forbidden West.
Yeah.
Can't even think of what else is on their main docket, but they've got to have some other stuff.
They'll be showing Gran Turismo. You can guarantee they'll show some Gran Turismo.
Yeah, very true. Because I was going to say they need some more genres in there besides action. They need to have, some family stuff. They need to have a good mainline shooter if they want to compete with Halo. Granted, they could probably go with one of these other developers that'll do a PlayStation exclusive, but...
Could we see a rebirth of Killzone?
Maybe. I mean, I genuinely liked Shadowfall's multiplayer at launch, but I haven't thought about that game in 4 years.
What do you think, Alessio?
I think that we should be discussing this conference, not...
No, I mean the general conversation, like Microsoft, where I'm saying that they've got a good lineup, but I just don't think it's a big it's not the major competition yet.
Quite simply, the biggest titles are yet to be released, so of course it's not there yet. But you can see that that it's coming together. So it's, I mean, even with the first game that was showcased, Starfield, and then also Redfall, I think both of these titles have been confirmed to be Xbox and of course PC exclusives. So they're not going to be on PlayStation.
Yeah, which we knew was going to happen.
From highly acclaimed developers, Arcane, and Bethesda. They are really going to be, I think, some of the titles that will start to tip the scale, of the balance, perhaps, when they are released.
Well, I mean, we do have Deathloop coming, which will be PlayStation.
Yeah. Deathloop, and what was the other game?
Oh,
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yes.
Yeah, Ghostwire.
Yeah, that's the one. No, I'm wary of Bethesda. Like when you're looking at Arcane, there are other studios. There's ZeniMax Studios. Yeah, you've got a lot of quality there. Bethesda Game Studios, I'm just wary. Fallout 76 burnt me, and I'm and Todd Howard's already gone and been a Todd Howard, and he's bragging about how big. Like you mentioned, there's been interviews talking. He's saying how big it's going to be. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And yeah, we know there's a new engine, but I don't. I don't trust them, and this is knowing the full fact that I enjoyed Fallout 4, I enjoyed Skyrim. Before that, I enjoyed Oblivion, I enjoyed Fallout 3. They were undeniably janky games, but they had the quality to cover the jank. We spoke about this last time, so I'm very hesitant to trust Bethesda to make a game that. And my main concern is that the jank will still be there. They will have a great characters, great story, and what they've always had before. But my concern is that I won't be able to overlook the jank from now on simply because of 76. And that's my major concern. And I'm hoping I'm wrong, because I want to like games. I don't like being miserable.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. As for Plague Tale, I'm really looking forward to that. Age of Empires 4, oh yes, please. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to from the Microsoft lineup, Alessio?
Well, I'd say certainly Starfield, Redfall, and well, it's not a first-party game, but yeah, Stalker 2 looked incredible. Of course, some are doubting that it's actually gameplay. What we were shown, but if it is really gameplay, then it's very good looking.
It's one of those where we'll have to wait and see, because a lot of the people behind the original Stalker games, which I adore, obviously went on to make Metro, so it'd be interesting to see the talent they've got there and if they can recapture the originals.
Yeah, but I think it's also interesting that there are actually several games that Microsoft didn't even show that are going to be, further out, but they're still coming, like Hellblade 2 or Avowed from Obsidian, which should be coming before the Outer Worlds 2. So,
Yeah.
and of course, Fable. So, I mean, this year maybe won't be, the big year for Microsoft, but I think from next year and the year after that, and possibly the year.
I don't think we'll see Fable next year, honestly. I think that's going to be a 2023 release, maybe. If Playground,
Yeah, I meant
because Playground have
next year
been
onwards.
Forza.
From next year onwards, they're going to have really big games every quarter, basically. So that's their aim, and then we'll see if they can compare to Sony's first part.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And I don't like bringing up the Metacritic, but if Sony tend to get the really high scoring, really well acclaimed ones, Microsoft games can be well acclaimed, but they're never. You're looking between like an average of maybe a 90 to 95 compared to an 80 to 85 sort of thing, if you get what I mean. So it's going to be interesting if Microsoft really push that bar upwards to compare with the general. They can have more, but will the more be of that really high quality? And I think Plague Tale, Forza, there's a good chance. There is a good chance. So I'm interested, and the Game Pass is certainly looking more valuable than ever before.
Yeah. There's one title that's dropping in August that I'm personally looking forward to, and that's the Annapurna Jam, 12 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one that could have like James McAvoy and Willem Dafoe voicing their talents in. I've been curious about that one for a couple years, and it went such a long time without getting like any trailer or announcement or anything. So that'll be one that I'm getting day one on Game Pass. plus Diablo 2. Can't turn that one down, especially with I think they're doing a beta test like this August. I'm just
So,
curious how the
go on.
yeah, go for it. I
No,
was just saying, I'm curious about how the control is going to work in Diablo 2. If they're going to try and transition to more of a Diablo 3 interface, just 'cause I haven't gotten hands on with Diablo 2 on consoles yet, so I'm a bit curious on that one myself.
were you the PC only, Alessio, when you tried it?
Yeah, but I tried it with the controller, so it's basically the same thing, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay.
There you go, Kai.
No,
Somebody
it's,
you can ask.
Yeah.
it's yeah, I mentioned in a previous podcast. It's still basically only moving the character in 8 directions, so it's still different from Diablo 3
Yeah.
Okay.
in that regard.
I
Gotcha.
suppose it would be difficult to put in that full movement after on such an old game as well.
Because it's underneath the upgraded renderer, it's still the same code. So it's
So
that's why.
trying to think, what else did we have? We had the Ubisoft. They talked about stuff.
Yeah, Ubisoft, yeah, and also, well, Ubisoft honestly wasn't that great, perhaps, and I'd say, I mean, Far Cry 6, I'm really looking forward to it, but the Rainbow Six Extraction game honestly didn't look that great from what they've showcased.
Yeah.
However, the Avatar game is interesting because it's not going to be a, the Division like online game, but it's going to be single player only from what they've said, basically. And it looks really great, and it could be interesting to play.
Do we know? Well, is it a silly question to ask? But do we know if it's open world?
Yeah, of course it is. But
Of course, it fucking is.
I mean, with Avatar, honestly, you'd want to have an open world because you want to be able to explore an alien world. That's kind of the point, Pandora.
Yeah, we'll see how many towers they've got.
There are no towers anymore in Ubisoft games, and you know it.
No, they've just got an alternate thing. You've just got something to hack or God knows enter. But yeah, I think Ubisoft, like you say, Far Cry, it's going to be interesting. I don't like they've already revealed the season pass, but I never like when a season pass gets revealed practically the same time as the game is. I just think that's really preempting things, but that's just industry shittery. So that's by the by.
I mean, you get a good look at what's already on the cutting room floor that wasn't good enough for the main game.
Yeah. Rainbow Six, though, like you say, I think it's gonna be strange because Siege never started that great, but it's become one of the biggest games in the world, and simply through. And as much as I like to criticize Ubisoft, and they are guilty of many, many, many horrible things, including covering up rape and sexual abuse, but let's not get into that. Rainbow Six, I think they're just they're hoping and praying that this will get the updates and become the next Siege, which, it's another 1.5 billion euros over the next 6 years or however much time. So it's like you say, from an early point though, it doesn't look that interesting.
I mean, it is different from the likes of Back 4 Blood or even Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, compared to the other games, it's going to be much slower, much more tactical.
Oh yeah.
You don't really have to fight that many enemies, but when you do, you have to kind of coordinate with your team before actually shooting. So it's going to be different in that regard from other cooperative.
Oh yeah, most
shooter.
certainly. But will it be much different to? Because obviously you're facing like you say, you're facing against like alien threats and God knows whatever else. How different will it be? Slower pace? I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah,
It's
I'm kind of curious if it'll be like that GTFO game, at
hmm.
least as far as like the cooperative aspects.
Yeah.
Uh,
And what
and
else?
also Ubisoft, they also showcased the new Mario plus Rabbids game. So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Kai,
like. Yeah,
did you like that?
I did actually. Yeah, it's I like Mario and Rabbids. They're weird. They're just weird games.
Yep,
Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of the Rabbids mascot, but I do think that the stuff that they've done with this like tactical RPG is actually a really interesting concept.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, so I'm all in for that. I'm in for that.
Yeah,
If there's a Ubisoft game that I'm looking forward to, it's that.
and
Which
speaking of Siege, they are adding like crossplay towards the end of the month, but it's just for the PC platforms and Luna. Console's not getting any sort of
Stadia.
crossplay until early next year for Siege.
Yes. PC, Luna, and Stadia too.
Yeah,
Stadia? What's that? I'm not far off. You know, I've still. Where is it? I've still got. Because Google were literally giving them away. Let me try and get it. It's still sealed. I have the Stadia kit. It's still sealed. What do I need
yeah.
that for?
I unboxed mine to play Just Shapes and Beats and a little bit of Super Bomberman R, and it's been collecting dust ever since.
I've not even unboxed it for the simple reason is maybe in about a year's time where everybody else has thrown their Stadia to the what was it, the ET Atari junk pile somewhere in America. This will be worth about 20 grand.
Yeah, but it comes with a free Chromecast, so you can at least use that.
Yeah, but I don't need to because TV, like everything's got internet connectivity now. The TV, the microwave, your phone, your Etch a Sketch, like this bottle of air freshener. I'm sure this connects to the internet too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Alessio, do you want a Stadia kit?
No, I already have it. But
And how much do you use it?
Can't comment on that.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
seriously, though, back to Ubisoft, I think it's a bit of a shame that we didn't get to see any updates of Beyond Good and Evil 2. Because
Yeah.
yeah,
I commented on that on Twitter, which, to be fair, I got a reply from somebody working at Ubisoft saying that somebody I've spoken to quite a bit in the past, and he did say that one of his friends is working on it every day. That was a public thing. Anything said privately is private, so that's by the by. But if someone from Ubisoft and someone who is some I've spoke to, I trust, they're saying that their friends are working on it every day, they must be working on it. It's taking a long time.
yeah.
Taking a long time, and it's disappointing that they're not giving any public updates, which of course makes people worry. But there you go. And I think the only is there anything else we didn't speak about? Oh, did we talk about Square Enix?
Yeah.
In the last one.
Square Enix. Yeah, honestly, as you knew already, I managed to see Guardians of the Galaxy. Honestly, that's looking pretty good, I'd say. So
I actually didn't know you managed to see it.
it's single player and so no DLC, no microtransactions, so you
Yeah.
cannot complain about that, Kate. Sorry, Chris.
They say that now, but they've also said that about other games, which ended up having things like that in. And I'm sure they early on with the Avengers they started talking about how it wouldn't be monetized and other things like that. So
They just said it would be only cosmetic, but
yeah,
there would.
okay.
But yeah,
Either way, still we'll see. As I said, I'll play it, and I like Guardians of the Galaxy as long as it. I just want it to be an a good focused single player game. I don't want Square Enix, like all of the most other AAA publishers, with the exception of Ubisoft, have proven that they cannot do games as a service. So until they can actually solidly stick with something, it's not making them shitloads of money, then just make single player games. Just make a single player game that's one hit, and if it's successful, make expansions or make DLC after the fact. Because I guarantee, they say now, no DLC. If Guardians of the Galaxy does really well, they will release DLC for it. They will make new missions.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But they might just go and do the same that God of War is doing, just do a sequel quickly instead of wasting resources on DLC.
Very
Yeah,
true.
possibly. I just don't
Yeah,
like with God of War. They knew they had a surefire massive hit on their hands, whereas Guardians of the Galaxy after Avengers is probably not so surefire.
yeah, but actually about that game as a service bit, they did show Babylon's Fall, which is basically that. But
Yeah, I'm not
actually, I mean, I am interested in it because, of course, as you know, I enjoy online RPGs.
Yeah, and that's
Uh,
fair. That's fair.
but honestly, I am not that fond of the graphic style because it's. I mean, they're saying it is inspired by oil paintings from, European. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 centuries ago, but European style. But I think it's a bit too heavy-handed, and honestly, it kind of ruins the visuals for me. It's don't know if you feel the same, Kai.
A little bit, and with an action game, especially like one that's heavy on like countering and reactions, from what I've seen in the trailer they released, the readability on like enemies is really difficult to see against that art style. Like the colors are pretty well muted, so it's a little difficult to kind of see what's going on. But then you have all these colorful like explosions and particle effects that kind of distract. So I don't know. I'll have to actually get my hands on and see firsthand. But yeah, in the initial trailer, that oil painting doesn't really look great in motion, I've got to say.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if they've. It's a weird design choice. Maybe when you get hands on, it will be nice, especially like you said, Kai. I think part of makes it stand out is the effects around the attacks. We've got a lot of glowy, shiny lights, essentially. So it does make it stand out.
At least they are doing a closed beta, I think, this summer on PC. So hopefully users can give their feedback and maybe they can tone it down
Yes,
before it releases.
very much so.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep, and then there were a couple other things during the Square Enix conference. You had we already knew about Life is Strange, both True Colors and the remastered collection. They did drop some new trailers for those. And the Final Fantasy news has been really polarizing, more so skewing towards the negatives with this. There's the Stranger of Paradise, which is the Final Fantasy origin. We don't know if it's an isekai or prequel or exactly what the situation is in relation to Final Fantasy 1, but that is Team Ninja doing an action RPG tangentially related to Final Fantasy 1. And from what I've heard, I haven't been able to get in to play it yet because the demo was kind of broken up until this morning. It sounds like they're kind of leaning pretty heavily on the Neo influence,
Yeah,
both in like combat and loot.
I was playing it just before we started the podcast, so if you want, I can try to answer some questions. But
all right.
Where do I get this demo from?
PS5, the console that you never turn on except for playing Ratchet and Clank.
Well, in my defense, there was no reason to turn it on.
But seriously, I mean, it's a weird one. I mean, the graphics are really kind of late PS3 era, honestly. There is massive amounts of aliasing. Seriously, it's rare to see this much aliasing these days, because of TAA and other anti-aliasing techniques.
Gross. I mean, that's what I rail like Atlas on with, all of their Persona spin-offs and stuff. They gotta tone that down somehow with some sort of like you said, TAA or some sort of anti-aliasing, because that is just an eyesore in motion.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you'd think that at least the game would run, I don't know, very smoothly, and it doesn't. I mean, well, of course, it's not finished yet, but I don't know. It's technically it's bad, like one of the worst games that you can think of, coming from a AAA developer. That is.
That's a disappointment.
I'll give it a go.
As a game, it's not that bad, but at the same time, I don't think if it's great either. It seems to be, as some have said, a kind of a mix between something like Final Fantasy 15 and Neo. So basically, you have two battle sets, you can equip two weapons. So you start with the great sword, and then you basically can use something like a mace, but you can also, with the other battle set, you basically have another job. So the first job is like a swordsman, so it is a warrior type of class. But the other class is mage, so you can unlock talents and stuff like that, new combos, new spells, and at least in the trial you leveled up pretty quickly as well. So and of course something that I think maybe came from Neo is that you basically have to save at bonfire type of way stops. So you have to when you activate one of these way stops, you save your progress, but all the previous enemies respawn. That's basically the idea. It's not
I'm
bad,
sorry.
but yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry to jump in. I've actually got to bounce out real quick. I've got to go make some money.
Well,
but,
we should wrap this up anyway because I know you've got to go. So
yeah, I do apologize. I'm gonna.
I think we've
bounce,
covered everything.
So I will see you guys very soon.
Yeah, I think we've covered practically everything, really. But yeah, is there anything you want to wrap up with, Alessio?
Well, there were a few other announcements made in the last couple of days. For example, this morning, HQ Nordic announced that Helix 2 is coming, actually maybe this year.
So, yeah, I was aware of that.
From Piranha Bytes, and I mean, I do like them. They are basically the definition of Eurojank. But I mean, if you check the screenshots, it seems almost identical to the first game. To the first.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, it's there are also going to be some new announcements coming. I think later this week, Microsoft will have some kind of conversation live stream with Ninja Theory and other developers. I think Obsidian too.
Something for us to talk about on Sunday then.
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh, well, that's when we record it. Then we post it on the Tuesday. But yeah, okay. Well, that's We will wait and see. I will wait and see. Until now, I will write up a review of Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2.
Okay, you like it?
It's more. It's. I enjoy Sniper Ghost Warrior. That's what I've been playing. So I enjoy Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts, and I enjoy 2. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like a new game. It's it's an expansion. That's all it really is. And I'm slightly irritated that, like, yeah, finally I got to play it. We got the review code on the day of launch, so, and then what with everything, I didn't actually start playing it till just over a week after. And by then, when I looked at the Steam store page, there's about 8 pieces of DLC for it, and I'm thinking, it's only been out a week. You know, and you know what? Maybe it's me. There wasn't a lot spoken about it before it launched, was there?
Yeah, there wasn't that much. It was pretty low key, I'd say.
Yeah,
So,
no, never a good sign. Uh, it's okay. It's not great. Why? What have you been playing anyway? And then we'll wrap up.
I've been playing some games that are coming up, but I cannot talk about them. So,
And why aren't I playing these games?
sorry.
Why aren't I playing these games? Get me copies.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
I don't. The worst thing is, I probably don't even want copies. You'll mention the games to me after, and I'll be like, oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I think that's everything for the day.
Okay, guys.
Right.
Let's see you next
Thank
time.
you for joining us, everybody, and we will see you. Oh, well, you'll see us in about 5 days, I imagine. Enjoy all.